Welcome back. Lanyu headed back inside to his apartment after the delivery driver left. He checked his temperature after eating his vegetable porridge. Lanyu stared at the thermometer, his expression dazed. Wasn't this fever a bit too high? His throat was parched, and his nose felt even worse. After blowing it repeatedly, streaks of blood had already appeared. It was 4 in the morning. Lanyu felt no drowsiness at all. This illness was beginning to feel unbearable. Should he go to the hospital? As long as it hadn't reached the point of dying, Lanyu was utterly unwilling to go to the hospital. Wrapped tightly in his blanket, Lanyu tried to sweat it out, not forgetting to sit up and wring out a towel to place on his forehead to lower his temperature. Though he couldn't fall asleep, that didn't mean he was fully conscious the whole time. His vision blurred, his thoughts muddled. In a hazy daze, it seemed as if someone took the towel from his forehead. A hand brushed against his brow, an odd sensation, yet his mind was too foggy to process it clearly. Vaguely, Lanyu murmured, "Mom." But the moment he realized what he had called out, Lanyu suddenly bit down on his lower lip, remembering that he had long since transmigrated. "Your parents are here." An unfamiliar voice suddenly sounded by his ear, made Lanyu stiffen instantly in bed. He didn't dare open his eyes, but didn't want to shut them either. It continued to echo beside his ear. "Why not come home? You're always sick. Making your parents worry." Lanyu was so shocked that he nearly forgot he was burning with fever. There was something in his room, right by his bedside. Lanyu didn't dare turn his head to look. This was definitely a ghost. "Come home with us. Your parents will take good care of you." He couldn't tell at all whether this voice belonged to a man or a woman. "Your older sister made you sick. We'll discipline her for you." Something was rhythmically patting his quilt. Lanyu slightly shifted his gaze to look at himself. He suddenly met an eye. That eye gazed at him quietly. There was a subtle emotion within it, enough to convey familiarity. "Temperature too high. Very dangerous. Let Big Brother help you treat it." Lanyu suddenly smelled a strange scent of disinfectant spreading through the warm room. Lanyu abruptly widened his eyes, struggling desperately to move his body. He was anesthetized. Forcing his eyes toward the bedside, a plain figure entered his field of vision. It was the same size as a human, dressed in a spotless white coat, neat and proper. A familiar surgical cap and mask tightly covered its entire face, and on top of that, it even wore a pair of black-framed glasses, blocking any chance of glimpsing its true form. The doctor extended both hands, white surgical gloves wrapped around them. He reached toward a nearby instrument tray and took out a syringe. As the syringe slowly drew in a transparent, unknown liquid, a crystal-clear droplet was pressed out from the needle tip. Unable to move, Lanyu lay stiff and straight as he felt the doctor's steady hands clasp his wrist. The sensation was entirely different from human skin. What are they injecting into his veins? Don't do this. Will he die? When fear peaked beyond endurance, his mind abruptly shut down. Lanyu failed to catch his breath, his vision went black, and he lost consciousness. Lanyu suddenly flipped over and sat upright. He had a nightmare. He looked around. Everything was quiet. There was nothing there. Lanyu felt his heart racing wildly. He took his temperature. Lanyu's fever was gone. The night before, it felt as though someone had been beside him, but when he tried to think carefully, he couldn't recall anything clearly. Perhaps he had just been delirious from the fever. He felt refreshed after washing up, feeling much more comfortable. As soon as he could, he put on a mask and immediately returned to work at the restaurant. Lanyu was worried that being absent for too long might make the big boss displeased and put Duan Gaoji in a difficult position. Although he couldn't sit at the front desk and had no way of entering the back kitchen, he could still do cleaning work and take out the trash. The mop could even be used as a makeshift cane. Walking with it actually felt quite easy. Suddenly, he heard a commotion coming from the main hall. "Oh, it's happening again." The waiter responsible for receiving guests at the private rooms whispered quietly beside Lanyu. In a place like a restaurant with people constantly coming and going, all kinds of people and incidents were inevitable. After the scalding incident, the man claimed that his arm had broken inside the restaurant and demanded compensation. That incident triggered a chain reaction. The surveillance cameras showed that when Lin Zishi was carrying a tray into the room, he was deliberately pushed over by a child. Moreover, many people at the scene had personally witnessed that no one touched the drunken man at all. His arm had broken for no apparent reason. The police speculated that the injury might have been caused when he smashed a liquor bottle. After responsibility was determined, it turned out that the troublemaking child was the man's own child, making it impossible to pursue liability. In the end, the restaurant paid a small amount of money on the grounds of failing to fully fulfill its safety obligations, just to settle the matter. However, the man was not satisfied with that outcome. The restaurant kept attracting all sort of inexplicable people who came to find fault with them. The people who showed up were different, and they only made a scene in the crowded main hall. There was no proof that they were part of the same group. So, what is it this time? Lanyu said helplessly, leaning on the mop. Hair found in the food? Or is the waiter's attitude bad? Everyone's been extremely careful when serving dishes lately. Lanyu narrowly escaped this wave of trouble. Anyway, it's always some unlucky scapegoat, the private room waiter muttered. Lately, Brother Duan stays in the main hall every day and handles everything himself. The only thing Lanyu could do was clean even more carefully, doing his best not to give anyone an excuse to pick faults. That evening, after the restaurant had finished cleaning and was about to close, Lanyu pushed the trash cart toward the back door. Outside the back door was a very secluded corner. One had to pass through a narrow alley to reach the garbage disposal area. From a distance, Lanyu saw two people standing in the alley, smoking. Pulling the trash cart and leaning on his wooden stick cane, he moved forward. Just as he was about to pass by the two men, he suddenly heard a noise behind him, the sound of a shoe kicking against a trash bin. Lanyu spun around sharply, only to see the bin teetering, actually on the verge of tipping over. Without hesitation, he threw aside his wooden cane and used both hands to steady the bin. The bin was filled with all kinds of kitchen waste and was very heavy. It was obvious the two men had done it on purpose. Suddenly, there was a sharp clicking sound, accompanied by a flash of light. Lanyu immediately became alert. He had been photographed. Lanyu couldn't clearly see the faces behind the drifting smoke in the pitch-dark alley late at night. He only heard a voice filled with unmistakable malice say, "Disgusting, you're actually using your hands to grab garbage. Is this restaurant really so unregulated? After grabbing trash, are you going to use those hands to cook for customers? What king of grudge is this, making customers eat food contaminated by garbage?" Should he argue back? Lanyu chose not to. Everyone knew this was deliberate provocation. Lanyu couldn't be the one to cause trouble for the restaurant. "Look at how pathetic you are," the man spat in Lanyu's direction. "Already in your 20s and still digging around in slop buckets, your parents must be unable to keep the lids on their coffins." Lanyu had died at 17 in his previous life. He was easily provoked. He found it hard to suppress the urge to lash out. "Hey, what the hell are you staring at?" The man in front of him seemed to be angered by Lanyu's gaze. Lanyu shot back coldly. "In my entire life, I've never seen a mental patient who smokes cheap cigarettes in a garbage passage and deliberately kicks over trash bins just to smear garbage all over himself. How could I not be curious?" Although the place was secluded, the restaurant still had surveillance cameras installed. Lanyu waited for the other party to make a move. He could still claim self-defense. The man was clearly enraged and took a step toward Lanyu. He braced himself, gripping the trash bin to make sure he wouldn't be knocked down by a single punch. He was mentally prepared. "Hey, fourth," the man's companion suddenly called out just as the man was about to get close to Lanyu. "What now?" The man flung his hand impatiently, but he was stopped by his companion. "No, look at this." "What is this?" The companion handed his phone over. The man lowered his head and glanced at it. The arrogance on his face abruptly collapsed. Holding the phone, he looked up at Lanyu. Their expressions shifted in a strange way. Then the man took out his own phone and pointed the camera at Lanyu. "Are you sick or something?" Lanyu reflexively raised his arm to block his face, not letting them take photos yet. From the edge of his arm, he noticed how the two men's faces gradually drained of color. Fuck, this is..." The man's voice was far weaker than when he had been shouting earlier. As his companion dragged him, the two of them retreated together, then turned and ran off at top speed. Lanyu stood there stunned. Was it possible that he had entered another ghost encounter cycle? He felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over him, chilling him from head to toe. Should he take a look with his phone? Lanyu retrieved his mop handle can, grabbed the trash cart, and ran off as fast as he could. No, he didn't dare to look. Lin Zishi reminded Lanyu to have a medical checkup for his leg. "I'm on an early shift tomorrow too. I'll go with you," Lin Zishi said. "I can go by myself, I don't want to trouble you." "How is that trouble?" Lin Zishi said. "He ran into you, and you're worried about troubling him? If it were me, I'd have him running errands for me these past few days, and you're calling that trouble." Yonggang mocked him from the side. Lin Zishi reached over Lanyu's shoulder and punched Yonggang lightly. "Don't teach the kid bad habits." Lanyu blinked, looking at Lin Zishi on his left, then at Yonggang on his right, and suddenly broke into a smile. "What are you grinning like an idiot for?" Yonggang said, seeing Lan Yu's silly smile, and somehow ended up smiling too. Nothing, Lan Yu said. This lively, relaxed atmosphere was probably what a friendship felt like. If he worked a little harder, he could fool around with others just like this. As long as his leg healed, he'd be able to join in too. I'm going to the bathroom for a bit, Lan Yu said, clutching his phone as he went into the bathroom and closed the thin bathroom door. Lan Yu took a deep breath. Even the hand holding his phone was trembling. He opened the camera, tapped to switch to the front-facing lens. At the moment it flipped, Lan Yu suddenly shut his eyes and leaned back, not daring to look. He forced himself to open his eyes. His gaze landed first on the mirror right in front of him. The reflection startled him so badly that he jolted, the cast slamming heavily against the floor. Lan Yu pressed himself against the bathroom wall. After the initial fright passed, he calmed down. It was a black shadow. That was fine. A black shadow was okay. Lan Yu never imagined that someone as afraid of ghosts as he was would one day get used to the presence of a ghostly shadow. A huge, indistinct black shadow crouched behind him. One hand lay across his neck, the other locked around his waist. The shadow covered almost half of him. In the mirror, only his chin was visible. Hello, can you not mess with my roommates? The shadow seemingly uninterested in anything other than him. If you agree, just give me some kind of response. I'll treat you to something tasty next time, Lan Yu cautiously proposed in exchange. A layer of mist rose over the mirror in front of him, a checkmate and a heart. Lan Yu let out a sigh of relief. After Lan Yu's checkup, Lin Zishi found a video circulating around about the restaurant. Isn't this the alley next to our place where we dump the trash? Lan Yu's heart jumped. Yeah, why? Someone says it's haunted. They caught paranormal photos. They're saying a restaurant employee got entangled with a ghost, said Lin Zishi. It was a blurry video. A pitch-black shadow enveloping a human figure appeared in the footage. The camera paused briefly before dissolving into frantic shaking as the two people filming ran away. Doesn't this look like you? Kind of. It was him. Definitely him from last night. People seemed especially interested in pseudo-paranormal photos. Some people claimed it was real, and before long, it turned into a full-blown authenticity debate. Several people came forward in a short span of time, claiming they had encountered ghosts inside Fodder Grand Restaurant. Someone said they'd wandered into the back kitchen while looking for the restroom and found it eerily silent, like stepping into a separate dimension. Another claimed the restaurant's feng shui was off. It shouldn't attract wealth, yet business was booming, so it must be using some crooked methods. Then, out of nowhere, a video began circulating online showing the arm of the troublemaking customer suddenly snapping. The way that customer's arm broke was far too bizarre. It pushed the already discussed haunting of Fodder Grand Restaurant straight to its peak. These influencers really have no shame, a server complained. I told them coming all the time would affect other guests. It's like they didn't even hear me. Exactly, and some of them come in and start filming everywhere. This is a restaurant, not a haunted house. Someone even tried to go through the staff entrance into the back kitchen last night. I had to stop them. The restaurant mainly catered to banquets, gatherings, weddings, celebrations, but it suddenly vanished. Who would want to hold a happy occasion in a supposedly haunted restaurant? As Lan Yu lowered his head to mop the floor, the big boss stopped beside him. Lan Yu looked up puzzled. Bai, the big boss said. His name is Lan Yu. Duan Gaoji corrected from beside him. Facing the big boss, all he could manage was a stiff, hello. Bai, the big boss said. His name is Lan Yu. Duan Gaoji corrected from beside him. Facing the big boss, all he could manage was a stiff, hello. Bai was Lan Yu's new nickname, born from the chain reaction triggered by the video. Some customers filmed Lan Yu's appearance, sparking interest on how he looked. Bai meaning, a white shadow that obscures the light, was actually a compliment to his appearance. Soon after, live streamers began entering the restaurant looking for Bai. Lan Yu was forced to hide in the back kitchen. You were filmed. Why didn't you regret it? The big boss frowned, his tone unpleasant. I'm sorry, Lan Yu said. This was an accident. Duan Gaoji said to the boss. Didn't I already explain? Someone was looking for trouble. The big boss said nothing more and left. It's fine. Don't worry. Brother Duan knows what he's doing. He won't let innocent people get dragged in. Lan Yu looked dispirited. Before closing after the evening shift, Duan Gaoji gathered everyone together. From now on, we'll only have morning and evening shifts. No more full-day shifts for the time being. If anyone asks questions, you just say you don't know. Lan Yu was assigned to the evening shift tomorrow, which meant he could go back to his rental place tonight. He waited by the roadside for a car, but as he waited, Lanyu absent-mindedly sat down. The air was a little chilly. He tugged at his clothes, his mind drifting. Zhou Husheng called Lu Yang about his leg. He found out after seeing videos of him online. You want me to come pick you up? Zhou Husheng asked. It's okay, brother Zhou. Lanyu looked up and suddenly noticed a taxi parked nearby. He hadn't heard any sound at all. When had it stopped there? There's a car right next to me. I'll just take a taxi home. Alright then, are you working tomorrow morning? I'll come see you. No need to trouble yourself, I'm planning to sleep in tomorrow. Okay, bye. He hung up the phone and stood up, gripping the wooden stick beside him, and looked at the taxi parked not far away. It was pitch black, hard to make out clearly. Only the red, vacant sign glowed conspicuously. Was the driver inside? Why weren't the headlights on? Lanyu cautiously took a step forward. As he moved closer to the taxi, Lanyu noticed that the window was cracked open slightly. Under the street lamp, he could vaguely make out the figure of a man sitting in the driver's seat. He seemed to be wearing black clothes with indistinct patterns on them. The outfit was close-fitting, which made it easy to tell that the driver had a rather tall and sturdy build. Lanyu tentatively knocked on the window. Hello, can I get in? He heard a coarse, rough voice reply. Get in. So lucky. Lanyu opened the rear door and got inside, only to discover that the taxi was surprisingly new. The seats were clean and soft, without the usual wear, tear, or footprints. The driver must really cherish this car. North gate of Zhohe 4th Hospital, Lanyu said. Leaning back against the soft seat, Lanyu felt the ride was exceptionally smooth. He stole a glance at the driver. Lanyu couldn't clearly see the driver's face, only a vague outline. Lanyu narrowed his eyes. Was it really this dark? Which building number? The driver suddenly asked. No need, just stop at the entrance. I didn't say to go inside. I'm only paying the starting fare. Starting fare is fine, the driver replied readily. Lanyu was a little surprised. Looking at the meter, which had clearly already begun ticking upward, he couldn't help but ask, Sir, are you doing charity? The driver's low, coarse voice responded, Your leg is injured. Thank you, Lanyu said, deeply moved. Was his luck especially good today? After the car stopped, Lanyu heard that strange voice say to him, Go home. Okay. Thank you, Lanyu replied. Lanyu paid with his phone and got out of the car. He subconsciously glanced at the license plate as the car took off. S40404, what an unlucky number. Lanyu lowered his head again, then froze. Payment failed? Had he run out of money? He immediately checked his account. There was money. Standing there, Lanyu wondered if the driver would notice and come back to ask for the money. A driver whose face he couldn't see. A strange voice. Money that couldn't be paid. Goosebumps rose layer after layer across his back. Lanyu didn't dare stay there any longer. There was a very high chance that he had run into a ghost again. Lanyu found a small restaurant and sat down. The lunch here was cheap, filling, and tasted pretty good. He liked coming here a lot. A few days ago, he had even made a meal specifically for the shadow, leaving it out. When he came back in the evening, the bowls and plates had been licked completely clean, without a single trace of food residue. Looking at the heaping bowl of dishes and rice, Lanyu broke into a smile. He could get unlimited rice refills. Tomato and egg stir-fry, mapo tofu, shredded pork with green peppers, and to give himself a bit of encouragement, Lanyu also bought braised pork. He was extremely happy, until a sharp click sounded beside him. Lanyu blinked, his cheeks still stuffed with braised pork. He unconsciously looked up. He found himself staring straight into a camera lens. Hey, hi. You're by E, right? The person suddenly greeted him with a bright, cheerful tone. Lanyu frowned. Being interrupted while eating made him feel a bit irritated. He kept his head down, avoiding eye contact. You must be by E. You're good-looking and your leg's broken too. Without hesitation, the person slid onto the seat next to Lanyu. Is it true that your restaurant is haunted? Have you actually experienced it yourselves? Lanyu could clearly feel that curious gazes had begun to converge around him. He didn't enjoy being the center of attention. You're really handsome. I thought those photos online must have been filtered. Did you edit them? Is your restaurant doing marketing stunts? The person didn't seem to notice or didn't care that Lanyu was silent. He even took out their phone and was pointing it at him to record. Lanyu's heart jumped. Don't film me without my permission. I didn't agree to be filmed. Duan Gaoji had reminded them to be cautious. You're so popular now. Have you thought about doing live streams to sell things? The person asked, eyes glued to the phone. Lanyu quickly stuffed a few more bites of rice into his mouth, determined to finish as fast as possible. He just wanted to leave. Talk to me. We're all really curious. Just the other day, people online said your company's boss keeps some kind of goo, some jar at the front desk. Lan Yu's anger flared. Please pay more attention to our restaurant's information in the future, Lan Yu said, his mouth still glistening with food, looking a little odd. What information? The other person feigned ignorance. Lan Yu didn't continue speaking. He got up and grabbed his wooden cane, intending to leave. But as he stepped forward, his cane was suddenly seized. Caught completely off guard, Lan Yu stumbled forward, instinctively flailing, knocking several plates off the table, which crashed onto the floor with a harsh, piercing sound, capturing everyone's attention. He landed on one knee, supporting himself with a hand on the floor, his heart racing. He turned around furious only to find the other person frozen, one hand still suspended in the air, completely at a loss. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Thought the other hand holding the phone for recording hadn't lowered it. What's going on? The restaurant owner emerged from the kitchen and immediately bent down to help Lan Yu. I didn't give you permission to film me. I was peacefully eating, and you came to bother me. I didn't say anything, but you grabbed my cane. What do you think you're doing? Lan Yu had been eagerly waiting to have his cast removed, and he couldn't even imagine what would happen if he accidentally injured his leg further. I didn't mean to, the person insisted. Just because you didn't mean to doesn't give you the right to take someone else's cane. If I get injured a second time, how do you plan to compensate me? Lan Yu straightened up, holding onto the table for support. Shameless, who even are you? People nowadays have no sense of shame. Didn't they see he didn't want this? This is illegal, you should be arrested. Suddenly, several cold, emotionless voices came from nearby, capturing Lan Yu's attention. The atmosphere shifted. If you film others, you should experience being filmed yourself. The voices were devoid of curse words, but the tone was flat, unyielding, and emitted from the mouths of countless other customers nearby. Lan Yu had initially thought they were defending him, but instead it sent chills down his spine. How ugly. How can someone be this ugly? Is it insecurity that makes them so hostile toward good-looking people? Of course, ugly people always cause trouble. Boundless malice suddenly surged from all directions toward the person holding the phone. Lan Yu glanced around and saw that everyone was unabashedly staring at them, each holding up their own phone to record. What are you all doing? I didn't. The annoying person tried to defend themselves, but the stares were so strange, as if no one was listening to any words at all. Shouldn't you try being dragged and injured yourself? Yeah, if you haven't experienced it firsthand, you can't truly sympathize with others. To Lan Yu's astonishment, someone holding a phone approached from behind and yanked the annoying person's ankle so hard that they collapsed to the ground. You're all crazy. What did I even do? When a person's fear reaches its extreme, it turns to anger, but as the annoying person tried to resist, countless hands pinned them down to the floor. Lan Yu took a few steps back. Even in broad daylight, a place could still be haunted. Lan Yu's scalp tingled, his anger extinguished by fear. All he wanted now was to escape this suffocating place, even though it wasn't directed at him. As he stepped outside, the crowd blocking the glass door parted abruptly. A child alone must feel so helpless. If this were my child being mistreated outside, I would be devastated, a woman nearby said. Children should come home more often. That way, when they feel wronged, they can be comforted by their family. The words, come home, struck Lan Yu like a spell, his body tensing. His intended stride faltered. Now he was certain he ran into a ghost. The next day, Brother Duan hired a person for marketing to seize the current wave of traffic with Bai Yi. Lan Yu was going to be the face of the place, and he was promised a share of the profits from the promotional videos. Hey, there's a guy at the main entrance, knocking on the door and crying. A staff member suddenly poked their head into the back kitchen and said. Everyone ran to take a look. At the unopened front door, a man was sprawled on the ground, wailing and sobbing as he knocked. I'm sorry, I was wrong, I was instigated. I really just made it up. The man with the severed hand, he's my big brother's friend. My brother told me to do it. I really only ate there once. I'm sorry, please stop tormenting me. I know I was wrong. I'll make a video. I'll tell everyone it was all fabricated. It was my brother's idea. I just did what he said. The man's tearful, broken down appearance was honestly not a pleasant sight. The moment he saw them, he began pounding on the door even more urgently. Wasn't this one of the two men smoking at the alley entrance that day? What do we do? Everyone was too frightened by the man's miserable state to open the door. Call Manager Duan. Lan Yu stood where he was, staring at the man. The man was threatened by a ghost until he was terrified out of his mind. Even though the shadow wasn't by his side, it was still helping him. Brother Duan had the man post a video and reported the matter to the police. With that, the restaurant finally shook off all the mud thrown at it and even gained a huge wave of traffic. Wang Sharan showed Lan Yu a photo they took for promotions. In the image, the outline of Lan Yu's side profile appeared faintly beneath the cover of a dark shadow. The shadow cleverly concealed most of his facial features, leaving only those exceptionally beautiful eyes and a small patch of pale skin at his temple exposed. It was the shadow. He tried to search ways to communicate with the ghost. Suddenly, several characters appeared on their own in the search bar on his phone. "We are not ghosts, to you. We are merely strange existences." An immense black shadow, vast enough to devour light itself, enveloped him. Lan Yu apologized to the shadow for having previously spoken harshly towards it. "Go home." The sound was coming from Lan Yu's phone. It was using the smart assistants he had set up. "Let everyone see you." Lan Yu tried to refuse, but the shadow just engulfed him again. Lan Yu opened his eyes. He was back in the alley. His hands were shrouded in darkness. He lowered his gaze and saw a key being placed in his hand. Lan Yu realized that it hadn't belonged to some other tenant at all. It had truly been meant for him. Could it be a house key? He stood before the door of his small rental room. Lan Yu looked at the door, and then at the key. He inserted the key and opened the door. Lan Yu seemed to catch the scent of soil drifting out. The door before him swung open as if stirred by a gently breeze. When the wind passed, he lowered his arm and looked again at the world before him. Clouds hung impossibly low, as though within arm's reach, churning with a blood-tinged crimson hue. They pressed down upon a pitch-black building devoid of any identifiable architectural style, pinning it firmly to the ground. At the boundary where the red-black sky intertwined with the structure, there crouched a grotesque manifestation beyond human comprehension. A prostrate aberration, a colossal black mass, so enormous that Lan Yu's field of vision could not encompass it, slowly writhed. Sound without direction wrapped around Lan Yu from all sides. Each word carried a completely different tone, neither male or female, not even human. "Come here, baby. Welcome back home. Mom and Dad missed you very much." The black fluid gathered and entwined repeatedly, shaping itself. A portion extended toward Lan Yu. It hovered before him, forming a black hand. As the palm slowly opened, an eye split open along the arm, its pupil reflecting Lan Yu's figure. On the other hand, it presented a small cake in its palm, topped with a candle burning a blue flame. "You've worked hard, baby. Mom and Dad prepared dessert for you." Lan Yu's eyes rolled back. Lan Yu woke up, but he didn't dare open his eyes. He was truly terrified. He could clearly feel that the bed beneath him was absolutely not the bed in his rental room. This one felt comfortable. Lan Yu recalled seeing that enormous one-eyed creature in his bedroom accompanied by a doctor wrapped tightly from head to toe, who administered some unknown injection to him. But he had fainted from sheer terror and ended having nightmares. Vaguely, Lan Yu sensed something disturbing him. When an intangible touch pressed against his forehead, Lan Yu couldn't take it anymore. He opened his eyes. The dark wallpaper exuded a low-key luxury, yet its pattern was impossible to identify. A double bed, desk, computer table, vanity, wardrobe, and in the corner, a decorative fake plant that completely filled the space. It looked ordinary. And when Lan Yu turned his head to look beside him, his breathing stopped. Next to him was the shadow. The snow-white pillow formed an almost painfully stark contrast with the blackness beside it. That darkness seemed vaguely humanoid, large in build, closer to a tall, broad-shouldered adult man. Strand after strand of what looked like extremely soft hair swayed slightly with Lan Yu's movement as he sat up, yet it was so dense it felt as though it was constantly absorbing all the light that came too close. Thank goodness, it was the shadow. The black shadow propped one arm on the bed and straightened up, yet Lan Yu still couldn't tell whether the shadow was facing him or had its back turned, until it lifted both hands, cupped Lan Yu's cheeks, and wiped away the dampness at the corners of his eyes where unconscious tears of fear had formed. Only then did Lan Yu realize that this was definitely its front. "You can actually look like a person here," Lan Yu murmured. In his own world, the shadow had never fully taken shape. The shadow's frame was large, a whole size bigger than Lan Yu. His hands were surprisingly elegant. "Baby, you're awake?" From the enormous window, a gigantic eye appeared. The voice he had heard before sent Lan Yu's hair standing on end the instant it sounded. That thing called itself Mom and Dad. Were they fused together? "I'm awake," Lan Yu replied with a trembling, tearful tone. He really didn't want to respond, but he didn't dare remain silent. "What is it? Are you uncomfortable?" The window was pushed open. The fluid-like parents slowly flowed inside. Part of it coiled upward, climbing onto the bed, and a single eye opened near him. Could it be the car accident hurt you? Let Mom and Dad take a look. I'm fine, I'm really fine. Lanyu refused frantically. Absolutely not. He absolutely did not want close contact with that thing. You really make Mom and Dad worry. Baby is too fragile. The eyes showed a helpless glimmer. We're very worried. Don't run around outside anymore. Lanyu forced a smile. No, I have to go to work. Oh, right. Children have to work, earn money, live. Mom and Dad must properly help you become independent. Hearing this, Lanyu felt the tension in his heart loosen, just a little. Then I'll get ready for work. I'll end the visit here for today, Lanyu said, and instantly regretted it. He sounded far too eager. There is still plenty of time. The parent said this calmly, and Lanyu's whole body tensed again. Did these things even have his work schedule memorized? But baby, you can't fall asleep anymore, right? Go take a bath. Mom and Dad put clean clothes by the door. Okay, Lanyu's voice trembled with barely suppressed terror. Bath. Over there, baby. A hand with a single eye pointed toward a door in the vast room. Lanyu stood up from the soft bed. Stiffly, he moved toward the door and grasped the bathroom doorknob, but a pair of pitch-black arms suddenly rested on his shoulders, stopping him from opening it. Qiguang, baby is going to bathe. Don't be so clingy with baby. Just as relief washed over him, those same arms wrapped around his waist again. Oh dear, you're really too clingy, baby. Family bonds are truly wonderful. Lanyu was so scared his entire body felt frozen stiff. Humans must stay clean, the parent said. Lanyu felt an all-too-familiar sensation, one he experienced back when his leg had been in a cast. Something cool and mud-like spread over his leg, slowly moving downward. This time he could see what was happening. It was licking him. Lanyu's hair stood on end. Humans like bathing. Lanyu's voice cracked the moment he spoke. We like hot showers. They're very comfortable. This time the shadow seemed to understand. It released him, looking oddly dejected. Lanyu forced himself to turn his head and attempt to smile for the two family members present. Once he shut the bathroom door, the snow-white tiled space contained only him. In that instant, his legs gave out, and he collapsed onto the floor. This was insane. Completely insane. Afraid the entities outside might grow suspicious, he staggered to his feet, crawled over, turned on the shower, and curled up beneath the warm water, trembling. The water was so warm. Although the monsters were terrifying, they didn't seem to have any intention of harming HM. Could it be the original Lanyu had actually been a child of these eerie beings, disguised as a human? Maybe he wasn't human at all. Then those parents, did they split into a man and a woman in the real world? Or was it the opposite? Two consciousness fused into one within this eerie household? No wonder they were so controlling on the phone. The best approach for now was simple: say less, listen more. After steeling himself mentally, Lanyu opened the bathroom door and saw the new clothes placed outside. When he stepped out of the bathroom, the parents were already gone. Only the shadow remained, holding a hairdryer for him. Lanyu swallowed unconsciously and walked over bit by bit, obediently sitting down. The shadow turned on the hairdryer. The sound was soft like a natural forest breeze. It made sure Lanyu's hair was completely dry, and then, without warning, it leaned in and tapped his forehead. The shadow had kissed his forehead. Then it grabbed his hand and led him into another room. Lanyu watched in astonishment as the brightly lit space revealed clothes everywhere, completely filling the room. When Lanyu finally put on the clothes the shadow had chosen, he felt awkward all over. They were far too comfortable, that even someone like Lanyu, who never worn good clothes before, could tell at once that this was absolutely not anything cheap. The shadow stood behind Lanyu as he faced the mirror. A black arm reached forward from behind him, lifting his chin so that he had to look straight at his reflection. The shadow was like an artist admiring its own finished work. Qiguang, Lanyu said. I still need to go back to my rental place early. My phone hasn't been charged yet. I need to go back and charge it. The shadow handed Lanyu's phone back. Lanyu lifted his hand and instinctively unlocked it. The battery indicator showed a full charge. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Lanyu's heart jumped violently in sync with the knocking sound. The shadow held Lanyu's hand and stood with him in front of the door and opened it. Lanyu's nose twitched. It smelled like a fishy stench. There stood a red figure. It was tall and gaunt, nearly twice Lanyu's height. Its skin had been completely peeled from its body and hung behind it, yet not fully removed, still draped over its back like a veil woven from red flesh and pale skin. The exposed red musculature was smeared with blood, gleaming faintly under the light, as if reflecting it. Its facial features were twisted into a spiral, and the massive firewood cleaver in its hand was mottled with rust, stained with dark reddish-brown grime that could have been dried blood or rust. Lan Yu's legs trembled uncontrollably. The sound of terror was struck in his throat, unable to escape. The skinless person bent down and lowered its head to look at the human and shadow. A hand pointed off to the side. The shadow held Lan Yu's hand and nodded cheerfully. The skinless person straightened up again and walked in the direction it had indicated. Lan Yu felt the shadow's fingers interlace tightly with his own, pulling him along with undeniable force. This was a villa. Unlike how it looked from the outside, the interior seemed even more vast. Just as Lan Yu trembled with fear, a pleasant scent drifted into his nose. It was the smell of meat. A massive, seemingly endless dining table appeared. Meatballs, roasted meat, meat buns, meat soup, meat steaks. It was a full meat feast. A hand patted his back. Lan Yu realized that the tall, skinless person had pushed him toward the chair. Was he supposed to eat? Baby is here to eat. The instant the parents' voices sounded, Lan Yu jerked his head up. His parents were already seated at the head of the table. Because Baby came back, the Reaper put her skills to use especially. To ensure the taste, she's been busy all morning. As her elder sister, she's worked very hard. He truly hadn't been able to tell the gender at all. Lan Yu looked at the lavish meat feast spread before him and found it hard to feel any appetite at all. When the shadow picked up a piece of meat with chopsticks and brought it to Lan Yu's lips, he knew there was no escape. He opened his mouth, yet the moment the juicy meat entered, he instantly awakened his taste buds. The taste of the meat was simply incredible. "It's very good," he said honestly, forcing himself to sound steady. "I've never had this before. What king of meat is it? It couldn't possibly be human meat, right?" The skinless person tried to talk with Lan Yu, but he couldn't understand her. The Reaper walked away, and beside Lan Yu the shadow pulled out a writing board. He wrote beef. There was tapping sounds beside him. Lan Yu glanced toward the skinless person. On the floor next to her, a cow's head had been carved directly into the ground, etched out with the cleaver itself. It was beef. Lan Yu licked his lips. "It's very good." Lan Yu stammered. He didn't dare look up at the Reaper, but he still gave his feedback to the one who had cooked the meal. "Haha, our Reaper is very happy. She's skilled, after all. We don't really eat much ourselves, but with Baby here, Reaper will be very pleased." The parents laughed. Lan Yu focused only on the food, blocking out everything else, eating with great seriousness and concentration. "Baby, come home often and let us see you. We worry about you so much. You're too fragile, people bully you, and you're always getting hurt. It's very dangerous," the parents said at the dining table, sounding no different from parents admonishing a child who was about to leave home. Lan Yu relaxed a little. So, as long as he came back occasionally, showed his face, he might be able to blur the eerie being's vigilance. "Okay, Mom and Dad," Lan Yu said with a smile. "Your older brothers and sisters are also very worried about you," the parents added. Lan Yu's expression shifted slightly. Didn't the original Lan Yu only have younger siblings? Lan Yu didn't dare ask. He didn't want to expose he wasn't the original. All he wanted was to leave this place. So Lan Yu wore a radiant smile, gentle as a spring breeze. "I'll be very worried about my brothers and sisters too." That single eye visibly curved upward, the amusement in it unmistakable. Family should love one another, worry about one another. Good, very good. Lan Yu's fake smile twitched until his cheeks nearly cramped. "Not good. Baby, be careful on the road. Watch out for cars," the parents said from where they loomed atop the enormous villa, calling out to Lan Yu as he headed out. "Okay," Lan Yu turned back with a smile. The corners of his mouth lifted, completely beyond his control. He couldn't suppress it at all. Qiguang raised his hand high and waved at him with all his might, seeing him off. At the boundary where the red-black sky met the brown earth, where the desolate land stretched empty and silent, stood a familiar door. He stepped forward, flung it open, crossed the threshold in one swift motion, then slammed it shut behind him, locking it carefully. A dream. It was all a dream. But when he looked down at the clothes he was wearing, Lan Yu nearly burst into tears. In this world, ghosts existed, monsters existed. But he came back. The clothes he wore were still lying on the bed. They hadn't turned into burial garments like he'd imagined either. They were still beautiful, still noble. He didn't dare throw them away. Lan Yu folded them neatly and put them away. If my parents are that amazing, Why did you end up living such a miserable life? Lan Yu asked. Could it be that the strained relationship between the original and their parents had only been one-sided misunderstanding? He headed back to the restaurant. Lan Yu unconsciously lowered his head and lightly touched his abdomen. He'd eaten far too much, now his stomach felt bloated and uncomfortable. Lin Zishi had just finished cleaning up after the morning rush when he turned his head and saw Lan Yu, who was usually diligent and always found things to do, looking utterly wilted. Lan Yu leaned against the wall, his expression listless and his face pale. What's wrong with you? Lin Zishi asked. Lan Yu opened his eyes and saw Lin Zishi. Sorry, I'll get up and get back to work right away. No, I mean, are you feeling unwell? I feel like throwing up. What did you eat? Lin Zishi asked. Beef buns, beef dumplings, Lan Yu replied. Lin Zishi raised an eyebrow. Eating that heavy, first thing in the morning. No wonder you feel bad. Lin Zishi told Lan Yu to just vomit everything, that way he could feel better. Embarrassed, Lan Yu scratched his cheek. Thanks for coming with me. No problem. But Lin Zishi didn't leave. He stood in front of Lan Yu, hesitating, clearly wanting to say something. But Lin Zishi didn't leave. He stood in front of Lan Yu, hesitating, clearly wanting to say something. Lan Yu sensed it immediately. What is it? He asked directly. Lan Yu, Lin Zishi said with a troubled expression. I know it's not really appropriate to ask you this, but I truly have no other choice. Do you have any money on you? Lan Yu blinked. What happened? I know it's kind of shameless to ask someone as young as you, but I'm really out of money right now. I usually spend everything I earn. You remember that incident from before? Even though I wasn't the main one at fault, I still have to compensate him. A few days ago, my family called to say my dad got sick. I don't get along with my family, but he's still my dad. I can't just ignore it. I really regret not saving money before. Since I've treated you well in the past, could you help me out this time? I swear I'll pay you back. Okay, said Lan Yu. I know I'm being thick-skinned, but you're still young and don't have many expenses. Could you lend me something to get through this? Okay, I'll definitely remember this favor of yours. Huh? Lin Zishi had been staring at the ground while talking, but only now seemed to realize what Lan Yu had said. You said okay? You'll lend me money? Yeah, Lan Yu nodded. How much do you need? How much can you lend me? Lin Zishi asked, overjoyed. Let me check. Lan Yu opened his phone and looked at his savings. He had 20,000 saved up. I can lend you 15,000. You mean you're only keeping enough money to eat? Yeah, Lan Yu replied. Lin Zishi studied Lan Yu carefully, then suddenly asked, Are you sure that's really okay? Lan Yu found Lin Zishi's question a little strange, but he still answered honestly. I should be fine. Didn't you say your family member is sick? No matter what, paying medical expenses is important. Lin Zishi broke into a wide smile and couldn't help stepping forward to give Lan Yu a hug. Honestly, you're really a good person. Thank you. Lan Yu met up with Brother Duan for buy e-pictures. In a couple of days, once the account has money in it, we'll split some with you, Duan Gaoji said with a smile, patting Lan Yu's shoulder again. Only then did Lan Yu finally show a faint smile. Brother Zhou, Lan Yu asked. I haven't been back to the dorm the past couple of days, and I haven't seen Lin Zishi. He didn't come to work yesterday, or today either. What's going on? He didn't tell you? He quit.
Duan Gaoji said suddenly.
Lan Yu froze.
What?
He submitted his resignation a long time ago. That was back when you were still living in the dorms, didn't you hear?
Duan asked, confused.
Lan Yu fell silent. Did he go back to take care of his sick father? Why did he leave without even saying goodbye? Was their relationship really so shallow that it didn't even deserve a farewell? Lan Yu thought they were friends. The next day, Qiguang took him back to the abnormal household. Baby's back, came a distant androgynous voice. Lan Yu looked up and saw the enormous parents coiled atop the villa. Have you eaten? I already ate with a friend. Lan Yu replied. Good evening, little brother. The raindrops form words with sound. Shui Mei is very happy. But humans catch colds easily when they get wet. Come inside quickly. Baby isn't greeting your sister, the parent suddenly said. Lan Yu immediately behaved himself. Hello, Sister Shui Mei. Baby hasn't come back for several days. Have you been doing well recently? It's single-eye gazing at him gently. I'm sorry I've been a bit busy lately, Lan Yu said nervously. Baby works so hard from morning to night. Qiguang misses you. He just loves sticking to baby. Seeing how good your relationship is. Mom and Dad feel very reassured. The parents laughed. Lan Yu didn't dare express even the slightest dissatisfaction in being monitored. Baby, come sit over here, the parent said. Mom and Dad have something to discuss with you. Lan Yu grew nervous. It's already late and baby still needs to rest, so mom and dad will get straight to the point. After thinking it over again, we've decided to do this after all. Baby, hand over all your money. In that instant, Lan Yu's mind went completely blank. Money? Why? Why do you want my money? To raise younger brothers and sisters? No, he refused.
He didn't want to.
Of course not, baby, the parent said. Your money will only be kept for you. We absolutely won't use it. After all, baby is our most beloved youngest son. The parent were amused by Lan Yu's thoughts. I can keep it myself, Lan Yu said immediately. Let mom and dad keep it for you. If you need money, just let us know. As long as it's normal expense, whenever baby asks us for money, we'll give it to you.
The parents said gently.
Why? Because baby is too foolish, the parents replied. Mom and dad are really worried that baby will be tricked again. What? Lan Yu froze. The parents moved to sit close to him in the sofa. Baby, you're very kind. When a friend needs a hand, you're willing to help them out. But baby, there are many people in this world who will take advantage of your kindness. Like that colleague of yours called Lin Zishi. Lan Yu went completely still. He said his father was hospitalized? Unfortunately, that's not true. His father is perfectly fine. He didn't want to pay the medical expenses for the man with the broken hand. So before resigning, he borrowed money from everyone around him. Baby, you lent him the most, and he never planned to pay it back. In his previous life, Lan Yu had witnessed countless times how his parents had humbled themselves again and again, begging everyone around them for help just to cover his medical expenses. His parents had lived like beggars for his sake. So when Lin Zishi asked to borrow money under the pretext of medical expenses, Lan Yu had not hesitated at all. How do you know? Lan Yu lowered his head, his expression listless. Baby's older brother went to investigate. The parents said softly, as though comforting him. We hoped baby would realize it himself, but baby never did. Lin Zishi is a good person. He even bought me snacks, and when my leg was injured, he accompanied me to the hospital. Lan Yu said, unwilling to believe the truth. The black shadow enveloped him slowly and handed him his phone. Lan Yu sent a message to Lin Zishi. Is your dad's illness getting better now? However, a red exclamation mark appeared beside it after it was sent. Lan Yu wanted friends. He wanted to be like normal people, to have close friends. Having spent most of his life confined to hospital wards, Lan Yu had barely had the opportunity to form any friendships. Darling, we decided to keep your money safe. Mom and dad will make sure nothing happens again. Lan Yu gave in quietly. Don't be disappointed. Mom and dad would never let you suffer any loss, his parents said cheerfully. We've already had your brothers get it all back. It's all safe with me now. If you need any, just let us know and we'll provide it immediately. Lan Yu blinked. The money was recovered? Lin Zishi. Had they done something to Lin Zishi? Of course your brothers helped you get justice, and your sister even made him really sick. His parents said, laughing. Lan Yu felt a bit reassured. At least no one's life had been endangered on his account. That's it for today. Please subscribe and leave a like. Thank you for your support.